Pretty sure this is going. It says live, so it's going to be live. All right, I want to do a little Gladiator review. I guess it didn't come out as good as I wanted, but I do have some data to show. So I've drafted 10 Gladiators, and I have come up with these 10 teams, and a couple of them won their league. Here's the league standings over here, and here's my overall standings. These overall standings are against last year's Gladiators. So I've taken last year's Gladiators and put them in and ranked these teams against last year's Gladiators in an attempt to see where these teams rank up. So you'll notice these are my low save teams right here. You'll see, look at this. This is my play this year. So we're going to see how that works out for me. Getting some decent rankings, though. I also know about one other team that is extremely good. Let me just show you how I broke down these Gladiator rankings. So this table right here, let me zoom out on this so you can see it. This table right here is all the stats and all the rankings for all the Gladiators from last year. Anything just in white is last year's Gladiator. Right here you see Waxman won. He crushed it. He won by quite a lot. Number 2 is Cooper Smith. Cooper Smith's up in here. Slisak's in there. A bunch of good players. Homie Spencer's down here a little bit. Spencer finished better than me last year. So this is how I'm rating how I did in the Gladiator this year. So anything highlighted is a team I know about that was drafted this year. We'll talk about this team later. This is a team showed me this is what they think is the best team. And sure enough, it would have finished 35. Here's a team, really good team that was drafted. Here's some other teams that were drafted. And here's where I start to get into my teams. So my best team would finish 118. And I'm in a fairly tight band. So I'm feeling like all of my teams are right up in here versus the rest of the 150 teams that were drafted in those 10 Gladiators. So I feel like I drafted pretty well. In terms of against the other rooms that I'm at, there's one guy who's consistently beating me is Cooper Smith, and some other people drafted some good teams up in here too as well. But of course, this is all just statistics, and we're going to have to let it play out throughout the year. But it is encouraging that when you look at, you take the larger view out, and you just look at it, it is encouraging that there's a lot of yellow. That's me, a lot of yellow towards the top of this chart. And these grays are all teams I've drafted against in the leagues this year, and the whites are from last year. So it's encouraging that my yellows are up here a little bit higher. Anyway, I think some of my teams do have a good shot. Anyway, so I do have a monitoring. I do have this sheet right here that monitors each team that was drafted in my 10 leagues. So I can see some other breakdowns on them. Later on as we go through the year, I'll be referring back to this chart to get further breakdowns, like what kind of pitching they drafted, and did they spend on hitting instead of pitcher, and what was their overall pick value, what round did they take starting pitcher, relief pitcher, hitters, and these things like this, just general breakdowns. We'll start to see how these teams finish out against each other when the Gladiators start. So I want to talk about my most hopeful team, and that would be a team that I show finishing the highest is actually Team Squirrels right here. So this is another thing I have added to my chart, my sheet as well. The ability to go ahead and put compare all of my sheet is freezing right now. We go ahead and compare all of my teams. So I have these teams right here. We said Squirrels. We'll put in Squirrels, and it will load Squirrels into here, into my draft order. Is now Squirrels. Your draft for Squirrels. Okay, all of that data came in to fill out all the sheets for Squirrels there. But now I'm going to be team number 9. So I need to look at team number 9 instead of team number 1. So team number 9 will change these picks and repopulate the data through a series of X lookups into these picks, into this available player sheet. It all basically works by pick number 9. You will see that when that moves, the pick will move, pick number moves, and now another X lookup cascade happens after that. But that's the way that you're able to examine any team in a draft. And I have the data for each team in the draft live. That's how I do it, right there with that. So this is a team that is considered to be my highest ranking team, which is crazy because it has absolutely no saves. 12 saves finishing on this team. Skeens, Chisholm, James Wood, Riley Green, Yair Diaz, Pablo Lopez, Joe Adele, Sadeo Raphael, Xavier Edwards. I'm looking forward to this right here. This is very encouraging that drafting no relievers there's a very late Adolis Garcia. You gotta love that. People are higher on Kiro. I don't. That might be a high pick on him. This might not be a good pick here. I mean, if Brian Abreu, who gets 10 saves, wow, loving it. Ferrara. This was before the trade and all of that, so he was still in Washington at this time. So Dana Rafaela and Edwards. This is probably a bad pairing here, but we'll see how this works out. In terms of home runs, I was 9th in the league. Was 4th in hitting overall, so this team should be pretty good. Another team that I think is also pretty good is, and again, I put these systems in here so that I can move them back and forth. I believe that the Cactus are actually the team that I think is the one to beat. I think this is the one with 2 early relievers. Yes, this is. So this is Ohtani and 2 relievers and an early Bryce Terang and a risky Yuri Perez. And then my guy Castillo, Profar. Ooh, here's I got value on late catcher, bang bang there. This team I actually like the best. It's got my guy Cole Keith on it and Joey Cantillo. So this will probably have to be my most favorite team would be the Cactus. I got my late value Luis Arias there. And this team ranked. Another thing that I do is I rank percentage of effectiveness versus these target numbers. So my percentage effectiveness was 92% against the targets. So that would be in the 92nd percentile. And there's a lot of variance still to go in 162 games of baseball that won't even start for another 3-some months. So, yeah, that's basically how I do my sheet. It's all a series of VLOOKUPs. I'm sorry, XLOOKUPs. I changed them from VLOOKUP years ago. They're XLOOKUPs now that work off this pick number to populate from here. This is set to a filter so that any player picking is out there. So the live updates during the draft, you can see who's available. These are the players who were not taken. I have a couple other things, a positions chart here. I have this chart here. Because each team is built into its own, this whole system is made by picks. So all the lookups are assigned by these pick numbers. So each team is built individually. So I have a whole, you'll see that this is one whole chart over here that is all the teams, 1 through 15. So we build all the teams. So each team is built here. And then they all have their set of totals. And because each team is built live, they all have their set of totals that can be fed back in. So as we're drafting, each team is being built live. I'm counting the number of catchers, first basemen, all of this. These are like calculations, like registers over here. So it all goes over here into these calculatory registers. And then that data right there from the positions and everything gets fed into here, which is a nice display during the draft. So you see what people need, where their pitchers are at. A lot of the other data is just fed back into here as we go. So during the draft, you'll have a live, all of these totals for each team are then fed into these sets of calculators right here. And these calculators, they calculate the standings, the total standings, the average standings, the graded standings, the degraded average standings live on the go. Here's the totals, here's the ranks. And then this is calculated here. The data comes from here. It's put into here to calculate, and then it's redistributed back into these displays. So it's redisplayed over here. Here's a heads-up innings display, general pick value, how people are building their teams. Um, so yeah, this is also equipped to do longer format drafts like MEQs. I don't do the big one yet, or draft champions, in which you can set another. You can set him to be on your bench. So now Colt Keith is on the bench instead of starting mid infielder. So that's how these calculations work. Everything is pretty well fleshed out. Here's all your starters. Here's another thing showing you the average pick value that other teams are taking, where they're taking outfielders. You spent average of 160 on outfielders. There's just some little bells and whistles. Some other parts in here that just make the whole thing work. I do want to look at that team that was the championship. What somebody said would be a really good team that I mentioned before. And the way we can look at that is with this little. I think we can look at it like this. So this custom team override right here should, if you any name that you type in here should be. Oh, this is the wrong one. Let's see. I want Bobby Witt. Undo that. I want Bobby Witt to start right there. There we go, Bobby Witt. Okay, there we go. So any team that you type, any name that you put in here is going to be overwritten into here. This is useful for like saying you were like, oh man, what if I had drafted this guy instead of that guy? Like, you see, if you take away Bobby Witt here, the guy who's already assigned to this team will just fill in there. So it's going to be Ohtani, and Ohtani's in there. So this chart is just made to overwrite there for if you want to speculate or look up into the rounds and see who you might be able to get or how you'd like to build your team. But right now, we'll just set it cut to this custom team override that's going to show us that team that was brought to my attention to be quite a major team. So that team has, it's got players. You got to hit on this player. I don't know about that player. You got to hit on this Zach Wheeler for innings. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. It's going to recompute everything here. It's recalculating. Saying that team only had 45 saves. That best team only had 45 saves, and he only spent on 2 relievers. So it'll give you a full update of your team. 2 relievers, 7, 6, 3. This is supposed to not be a good pick. Schwellenbach here. Sonny Gray is supposed to not be a good pick there. He's supposed to have not gotten. I like the Burleson pick. These ones probably where it paid off. I did notice these late. This Austin Wells and Ryan Jeffers. I mean, that's 34 home runs late there. Is really helping you out. He took the Edmund shot. He's got to get this Kikuchi to work out and this Minaya, but the team shows very well. He shows as a great team. This is the best team I've seen drafted this year. I can't really identify where he got his value from, other than I don't even show Duran as a good pick there. I do, but I don't think it is. Tovar and Wells, and I think Vientos is a good pick here. Here's the Ivan Herrera pick, which everybody is talking about. He probably got amazing value there on Ivan Herrera. So here's my other thing I do. I built a draft board right here of all the teams. This is live ongoing. Here's some of my other. This will just show you. You can reset this. You can reset this to whatever you want. So you're looking for second baseman. It's going to show you all the remaining second basemen. And not the second basemen that are gone, but just the ones remaining here, so you can compare against. You're like, oh, I got to get one of these clowns. So this just kind of gives you a heads up during the draft. But yeah, so this, I will want to talk about one more thing, and that is where the numbers come from. And that's from this projector right here. So this projector, you see that it says system in parts. Well, this projector, my numbers I'm going with is one part of all of this. So it's one part the bat that just came out. I just added one part the bat, one part steamer, one part Fangraphs, one part my own calculations I call the parallax, which are limiting. So that's why I'm excited that the bat came out. So that's what I do. So I put all of those projections, and I have a way to import them and update them easily with some tables. But all the most recent projections show up here: the bat, steamer, Fangraphs depth chart, and parallax 2026. And then I also pull another column called max usage. I just show the largest usage they have. Just sometimes it's cool to see what the top usage is. just a reference point. Uh, and then that is brought into, then z-scores are assigned to those projection values, and then I re-rank the z-scores to give myself a little bit of just, this is my supposedly my ranking for where I put them in terms of how I like the value the z-scores and that kind of stuff. So it's basically DataFit hybrid is basically what I'm going with for my ranking. But what makes this good is that you can select how much of what part you want to mix. Like you don't want no parallax, you don't want no steamer, you just want to mix together for your projections, fan graph, depth charts, and the back. Well, it's going to take a minute because my computer is a little bit old, but you'll see it's calculating here, and it's going to whip through the entire spreadsheet. Now, every calculation in the spreadsheet, you'll see all this change. These are the projections. These 2026 average projections are what are pulled in to the roster level. So there they are. They're all rippling through all the changes. So now you're going, these are the projections that came out of this set of numbers. And you can work off that as well. So that's kind of how I set up my sheet to give myself the ability to mix these different amount of projections, because I don't make projections, and I honestly don't know how to value projections. And the hardest thing I have in this game is valuing what the other people say. So I'm just going to, knowing who to value what. So I'm just going to get the most number of things to value and value them the most evenly, I guess is what I'm saying. So you'll see the Z ranks change there. Like for instance, on that Z rank, if you just get value fan graph depth charts in the back, that puts Aaron Judge 2, it puts Ramirez 3, Bobby Witt 4, and 5 would be Corbin Carroll, with Juan Soto dropping down. And that's just based upon whatever production that these numbers have, not any change in the weight of the data fit, but just because different raw data was fed to here. Like you'll see that doesn't take into account any parallax. So it's only pulling data from Fangraphs depth charts and the bat. So 681 and 679, the average of that is 680. Well, I quite like the parallax, and I like the limiting effect of Steamer, and the reason I like that is because sometimes Steamer doesn't limit, and when Steamer doesn't limit and Fangraphs and Steamer agree, that will give me the information I'm looking for. So now it's going to remix all the projections that will be used throughout. Any outputs put out by the sheet is going to be remixed to one part of all four. So there they go. Remixed through. All the calculations are remixed to one part of each four. And then these Z ranks, these Z scores, of course, are made off of these numbers over here. So the Z scores are going to re-rank as well. That's what I think takes most of the calculation time. And then there's a ERA and the whip coming through. So I do need a faster computer. I think I have optimized this the most I can, but it still takes a minute. But that's the way I get my numbers that I rank on. See, here came the Z ranks, came back in whatever order they were in, which has these Z ranks go Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Witt, Ramirez, Corbin, Carroll, Ellie Deli. That would be that. I would got more pictures and get more pictures in there. Pictures have a problems with the Z rankings. I always jiggle back a little bit. So now all the numbers that come into here, this is where the numbers are supplied to here. So the numbers are supplied into this system. Take the filter off that. The numbers are supplied to this system from that projector. So from this projector right here, average 2026 projections, that's controlled by the mixes, the blends that you put here are shot over from there into here. So these are the numbers you're looking at, is a mix of all four of those blends when you're looking at. That's what everything here is built off of that mix. So this will change dynamically with that mix. And also when a player is picked, they are taken away. So taken out of here by just a simple filtering. Filter them out by a count if statement that creates a certain number of value in a column. Count if 2, remove 2 is basically all that is. So these are the numbers, and then I've also, as I'm drafting, I like to be able to see the recent ADP is min and max, the ADP total is min and max. This Z rank is just my Z rank. So then it puts anything good, anything Z rank less than the pick number is going to be in green. Like, why isn't this guy been taken? Like Ozuna's got a 188 Z rank. Brooks Lee, 321. Ooh, I'm glad I took him in that other draft. And Brooks Lee, yeah, 321 Z rank. Love that. And here's their pick value, which of course is just ADP. ADP picked at value. This pick value represents if they were picked on the next pick, if it would be a value or not. These pick values over here represent what pick they were actually picked at, if they're a value or not. And that is that has to do with pick value is also has to do with an obscure chart down here, which is something like it's hidden in here behind this one right here. Pick value position factors. So these are the position values I have for each pick. So that's why catchers have a bigger value, RPs have a bigger value. These are from the rest of the internet. That's what I assigned. These are just charts to get you calculations against numbers. Let's remove these guys. We don't want these guys here anymore. They're out. Okay. So now we'll calculate back to that team, which was Team the Cactus. Another team I really quite like is Team the Moons. So we'll go to Moons here. And then we'll go right here to Team 2. And that will show me the Moons. Oh yeah, Ohtani, Sanchez, Hunter Brown, CJ Abrams, Blake Snell. This team, I like this team to win. Got Polanco there at the end. Not quite sure what's going to happen with this. This is the one where I went crazy. Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy catching. What was I thinking? Got my Michael Bush. Got some Joe Adele. Anyway, so that's why I have it set up like this with this lookup tool to be able to just look at your teams that you've drafted. So like I said, Moons is very nice to me. Moons is looking very nice. We'll just keep it on Moons. That's about all I got in terms of what my analysis is for the Gladiators. At this point, I think it's just got to start. I think we're waiting to see who's on whose team. We're going to catch some more announcements. And then we'll see when the Gladiator starts. I might build a total Gladiator team by team, player by team thing. I don't think that would be that immense, actually. So, anyway, Gladiator review. I'm feeling my chance at winning Gladiator less than 1%. Less than 1% for sure. But in terms of winning some rooms, definitely going to win some rooms. And I think, my goal is to get one to finish in the money board in those top 25. So that is a chore. Nobody's even showed me a team that would finish in the top 25 last year. I just seen this dude on Twitter. He's a smart baseball guy. But yeah, so the best team I've seen this year would have finished 35th last year. So it's a tall tale, the Gladiator. It's peaks and valleys. So anyway, going to be drafting some more, going to be drafting some DCs, going to be drafting some auctions, going to be looking to get into some underdogs here coming up, but also going to be monitoring the Gladiators when they come out and seeing how these teams that we know about that are our homies or maybe our team, how they're doing right here. Like this one is one to watch. This is like Zach Charpentier, man, he's a good player. And I do want to get into the way these teams played. Like a lot of them look like they played away from saves, man. 29 saves, 36 saves, 31 saves. People are playing away from saves right now. I hear the talk in the community. I hear the talk in the community, and I think it's true. You guys know I'm an early adopter on that. Please, any dialogue you guys want to have on these sheets, that's really what I'm about. My sheet dialogue is where I'm at right now. I'm going to work on a new sheet, which is going to be the Last year was called the TDK 10 Day. So let me see if I can show this sheet right here as a little preview. Let's see, remove this one. Let's see, presenter invite. Let's see, do this one. Share window. This one. So this one is the TDK 10 Day. So the idea of this one is to show the matchup for each hitter and the pitcher that they're going to be playing against on that day, and the left-handed, right-handed nature of those matchups, including ballpark factors as well, and day-night, right and left-handed games. So this is going to be a heads-up display that allows people to see this larger view for, like, look at this last year. Like, this is making sense, right? Michael Bush, he was green there at the end of the year. Rengifo, no. Berger, no. De La Cruz, a little mix of both. Javi Baez, he was a little bit green. Ramos, question marks, not playing some days. Varsho, getting green. Jacob Wilson, green all year. Andrew Vaughn, red, showing like he was going to get struck out all day. That's actually a low data veracity type of thing that I did need to flag out there. But this is my next sheet I'm going to be working on. So if anybody has a way to identify daily matchups to build your team, because that's what I want to get to, is I want to get to this chart here at the end where I can see what my good matchup is on what day. I play in a daily league, not just a weekly league. I play in a daily league. So I'm interested in having the daily information. But I know if I have the daily information, then I can do better at FAB and that. And I know the reason it's 10-day is because that's the amount of information that Fangraphs gives out for starters in advance. It's 10 days in advance. So I can download the starters into there. I'm matching up to get these. I'm matching up K minus walk, K percentage, ISO. I'm matching up some things to get these. But I'm interested if anybody has a way to build a sheet that shows any type of daily matchup data at all. So yeah, please let me know. Like I said, I'm very interested in sheets. That's what I'm most interested in. Anyway, I'll have some drafts soon. Hit up some homies. Let me know.